The desperate signal. The silence of space shattered at 3:47 hours when the Deep Space Communications Array detected something impossible. Dr. Marcus Webb had been monitoring the night shift at the Titan station for 3 years, and nothing had ever made the massive receivers scream like this. Commander Chen to the communications deck immediately. Marcus called over the intercom, his voice tight with excitement and fear. The signal was unlike anything in Earth's databases, but the universal distress codes were unmistakable. Commander Sarah Chen arrived within minutes, her boots echoing against the metal corridors as she hurried to the communications center. As head of Earth's newly formed Galactic Relations Division, she had dreamed of this moment for years. First contact, but not like this. "What do we have, Dr. Webb?" she asked, studying the cascading data streams on the main display. Marcus adjusted his glasses and pointed to the analysis readings. Long-range distress signal from the Kepler 442 system, approximately 1,200 light-years away. The transmission is using galactic standard protocols, which means whoever sent this expects other species to understand it. The main speakers crackled to life, and both humans fell silent as an alien voice filled the room. The speaker's tone was melodic, almost like singing, but underneath the beautiful sounds lay unmistakable terror. "This is Elder Thys of the Zephyrian Collective," the voice translated through their systems. "Our world burns while we speak these words. The Korthik Empire has invaded our system with terrible weapons. They take our children for slaves and strip our sacred crystal gardens for their war machines. We are a people of peace. We have no weapons, no armies, no way to fight back. If any civilized beings receive this message, please know that we die with hope that others might learn from our fate. We have sent our history and our songs into space so something of us might survive. This may be our final transmission." The message repeated 3 more times before cutting to static. Sarah and Marcus stared at each other in the sudden quiet. "How long ago was this sent?" Sarah asked. "Based on the signal degradation, approximately 6 months ago," Marcus replied grimly. "Commander, if the Korthik Empire is what I think it is from the galactic databases, these Zephyrians are probably already dead." Sarah activated her emergency communication link to Earth Command. Within an hour, she found herself in a video conference with President Maria Santos, Admiral Jackson Hayes, and the heads of every major Earth military branch. "Let me understand this correctly," President Santos said after Marcus had explained the situation. "We've received a distress call from aliens being attacked by other aliens, and you want us to get involved in an interplanetary war." "With respect, Madam President," Sarah replied, "this isn't about war. It's about genocide. The Zephyrians are completely pacifist. According to our galactic databases, they're crystalline-based life forms who've never developed weapons because their biology makes violence impossible for them to comprehend." Admiral Hayes leaned forward. "What about these Korthik? What are we dealing with?" Dr. Webb pulled up his research files. "The Korthik Empire is a militaristic society that conquers peaceful worlds for resources. They're known throughout the galaxy for enslaving entire populations. Their technology is roughly equivalent to ours, but they have superior numbers. So we'd be outgunned and fighting a battle that's not technically our responsibility," General Patricia Morgan observed. "Why should we risk human lives for aliens we've never met?" Sarah had been waiting for this question. "Because this is our chance to show the galaxy who we really are. For months, we've been trying to join the Galactic Council, but most species won't even talk to us. They call Earth a death world because our planet is so dangerous compared to theirs. They think humans are violent savages who can't be trusted. Maybe we are violent," Admiral Hayes said quietly. "But violence used to protect the innocent isn't savagery. It's justice." President Santos was quiet for several minutes while everyone waited. Finally, she spoke. "Admiral Hayes, what would we need for a rescue mission?" "Everything we can spare, Madam President. If we're doing this, we need to do it right. I recommend putting Captain James Rodriguez in command of the fleet. He's our best deep space commander and has experience with first contact protocols. How long to prepare? The president asked. 12 hours to load supplies and brief the crews. We can launch by dawn. The meeting ended with humanity's first interstellar rescue mission approved. As the officials disconnected from the conference, Sarah remained behind with Dr. Webb. "Marcus, there's something else about the Zephyrians you should know," she said. "I've been studying their cultural files from the galactic database. They're not just peaceful by choice. Their entire species is empathically linked. When one of them suffers, they all feel it. The pain of this invasion is being experienced by every Zephyrian simultaneously." Dr. Webb felt sick. That means the survivors aren't just watching their people die. They're feeling every death as if it were their own. 6 hours later, Earth's most advanced battle fleet was assembled in high orbit. 12 ships, including the flagship UES Defiance under Captain Rodriguez's command. The captain stood on his bridge, watching the final supply shuttles dock with his vessels. "Captain," his communications officer announced, "we're receiving a new transmission from the Zephyrian system." Rodriguez straightened. "Put it through." The bridge filled with that same musical voice, but weaker now, more desperate. "This is Elder Thys, speaking from the ruins of our crystal cities. If anyone receives this message, please know that we tried to welcome the Korthak with gifts and songs. We offered them our knowledge, our art, everything we had created in 10,000 years of peace. They laughed at our kindness and called us weak. Perhaps they are right. Perhaps peace is weakness in a universe that knows only war, but we cannot change what we are. We die as we lived, with hope that somewhere in the stars, beings exist who understand that strength can come from compassion, not just conquest." The message faded, and Captain Rodriguez felt something harden in his chest. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Captain Rodriguez. In 6 hours, we'll enter hyperspace for the longest journey any human has ever attempted. We're not going to conquer or claim territory. We're going because people who can't fight for themselves asked for help, and that's what humans do. We protect those who can't protect themselves. Today, the galaxy learns that Earth doesn't produce conquerors. We produce guardians." As the human fleet engaged their hyperspace drives and disappeared into the void, Dr. Webb managed to establish a weak communication link with the Zephyrian system. On his screen appeared the face of Elder Thys, a being that looked like living crystal sculpture, with faceted skin that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. But the light was dim now, and cracks ran through what should have been flawless features. "Elder Thys," Marcus said gently, "this is Dr. Marcus Webb of the planet Earth. We received your distress call." The Zephyrian's large, multifaceted eyes widened. "Earth, but you are the Deathworld species. The galactic databases say your people are violent and dangerous." "We can be dangerous," Marcus admitted, "but only to those who hurt the innocent. We're coming to help you." Thys was quiet for a long moment. "Dr. Webb, you should know that we may already be too late to save. The Korthak have taken most of our people to work in their mining ships. Our children crawl through crystal caves, digging out the sacred stones that took millennia to grow. Many have already died from exhaustion and despair." "How many Korthak ships are in your system?" Marcus asked. "I do not understand military terms," Thys replied sadly, "but their vessels block out our sun. There are too many to count." After the communication ended, Marcus ran calculations that made his heart sink. The human fleet was racing toward a system held by an enemy force that could outnumber them 10 to 1. They were traveling 1,200 light years from any possible backup to fight for people they'd never met, against enemies who had been conquering worlds for centuries. But as Captain Rodriguez had said, that's what humans do. 3 weeks later, 12 Earth ships would drop out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system, and the galaxy would learn that when gentle souls cried for help, the Death World sent its children to answer. Thunder across the stars. 21 days after leaving Earth, The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system, and Captain James Rodriguez immediately understood why Elder Thys had said the enemy vessels blocked out the sun. "Jesus Christ," whispered Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park from her position at the tactical station. "Captain, I'm reading 67 Korthak warships in orbit around Zephyr Prime." The planet below them was a heartbreaking sight. What had once been a world of singing crystal formations was now scared with massive strip mining operations. Even from this distance, they could see the ugly brown wounds where entire mountain ranges had been carved away. "Any sign of the Zephyrian population?" Rodriguez asked. "Minimal life signs on the planet's surface," reported Dr. Webb from his science station. "But I'm detecting thousands of Zephyrian biosignatures aboard the Korthak mining vessels. They're being used as forced labor." Rodriguez studied the tactical display, showing the overwhelming enemy force. 67 ships against 12. In any conventional battle, the humans would be annihilated in minutes. But Captain Rodriguez hadn't become Earth's premier deep space commander by fighting conventional battles. "All ships, this is Rodriguez. Begin pattern Omega 7. We're going to show these bastards why Earth is called a death world." The human fleet split into 4 groups, each taking a different vector into the system. Instead of charging directly at the enemy like traditional military doctrine would suggest, they used the asteroid belt and the system's 2 gas giants to mask their approach. "Captain," Dr. Webb announced, "I'm receiving a transmission from Elder Thys. He's aboard one of the Korthak mining ships." Rodriguez nodded. "Put him through." The bridge's main screen flickered to life, showing Elder Thys in what was clearly a prison cell. The Zephyrian's crystalline features were cracked and dim, but his eyes still held hope. "Captain Rodriguez," Thys said, his musical voice weak but determined, "you should not have come. The Korthak General Morgul has prepared for your arrival. He has studied your species and knows you will try to help us. It is a trap." "Elder Thys," Rodriguez replied calmly, "humans have been walking into traps and finding a way out for thousands of years. Can you tell me anything about Korthak weaknesses? Their ships are powerful, but built for intimidating peaceful worlds," Thys explained. "They have never fought enemies who fight back effectively. Also, Captain, there is something else. Our crystal formations are not just beautiful. They can amplify and focus energy. If you could somehow use them with your weapons." The transmission cut off abruptly, but Rodriguez had heard enough. He opened a channel to his chief engineer. "Martinez, did you catch that about the crystals?" "Yes, sir," came the reply. "If we could get samples of Zephyrian crystal technology, we might be able to boost our weapon output by 300%. Make it happen." The first phase of the battle began not with massive ship-to-ship combat, but with a single human shuttle sneaking through the debris field around Zephyr Prime. Piloted by Lieutenant Marcus Chen, the shuttle landed on the planet's surface near one of the few remaining crystal gardens. While the main Korthak force remained in orbit, assuming the humans would attack directly, Chen and his team worked frantically to harvest crystal samples and upload them to the fleet's weapon systems. Rodriguez to Chen. The captain's voice crackled over the comm. "How much longer do you need?" 2 more minutes, sir," Chen replied, even as Korthak ground forces began converging on their position. "The crystals are interfacing with our systems better than we hoped." Those 2 minutes felt like hours, but when Chen's shuttle rejoined the fleet, every human ship now carried weapons that hummed with crystalline energy. "All ships," Rodriguez announced, "weapons are now at maximum efficiency. Remember, we're not here to destroy the Korthak fleet. We're here to rescue the Zephyrians. Focus on disabling their mining vessels and freeing the prisoners." The battle began in earnest when the human ships emerged from behind the gas giant Cronus, their weapons blazing with crystal-enhanced energy. The Korthak fleet, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of 12 ships where their sensors had detected nothing, scrambled to respond. General Morgul, the Korthak commander, watched from his flagship as human weapons tore through his ship shields like they were made of paper. "Impossible," he snarled. These Death World primitives should not have technology this advanced. General, his tactical officer reported, they're not targeting our battleships. They're hitting the mining vessels and transport ships. Morkel realized the human strategy with growing fury. Instead of engaging in glorious ship-to-ship combat, they were focusing entirely on rescuing prisoners. It was tactically brilliant and completely dishonorable by Korthek standards. All ships, Morkel commanded, ignore the human warships, target the mining vessels. If we cannot have the Zephyrian slaves, we will ensure the humans cannot save them. It was exactly the mistake Rodriguez had been hoping for. As the Korthek fleet turned their weapons on their own mining ships, the human fleet struck with devastating precision. Crystal-enhanced torpedoes punched through Korthek armor like it was tissue paper, while human fighters swarmed around the larger enemy vessels. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Park reported, "We've disabled 17 mining ships. Rescue shuttles are evacuating Zephyrian prisoners." "Keep it up," Rodriguez replied, watching as his ships danced between enemy fire with an agility that clearly surprised the Korthek commanders. Earth's naval doctrine had been developed fighting in asteroid fields and nebulae, making human ships incredibly maneuverable compared to the Korthek vessels designed for straightforward conquest. The battle's turning point came when Dr. Webb made a startling discovery. "Captain, the rescued Zephyrians are asking to help with our weapons systems. Apparently, they can mentally interface with their crystals to increase energy output even further." "Do it," Rodriguez ordered without hesitation. What happened next would become legend throughout the galaxy. As Zephyrian survivors took positions at crystal interface stations throughout the human fleet, the ship's weapons began glowing with an inner light that seemed almost alive. Energy output increased to levels that shouldn't have been possible, and suddenly 12 human ships were fighting 67 Korthek vessels on equal terms. "This is impossible," General Morkel roared as his flagship's shields collapsed under sustained fire from the UES Defiance. "How are these primitives matching our firepower?" His answer came from Elder Thys, who had been rescued from the Korthek flagship and now stood on the bridge of the Defiance. "Because, General, you never understood that true strength comes from cooperation, not conquest." The final phase of the battle was swift and decisive. Faced with human tactics they had never encountered and weapons enhanced by Zephyrian crystal technology, the Korthek fleet began to retreat. But Rodriguez wasn't finished. "General Morkel," he broadcast on all frequencies, "this is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Defiance. You will surrender immediately and face trial for war crimes, or we will disable every ship in your fleet." Morkel's response was to launch a desperate kamikaze attack on the planet below, hoping to destroy the remaining Zephyrian crystal formations out of spite. But he had forgotten that humans don't just fight to win. They fight to protect. Every human ship in the fleet moved to intercept the falling Korthek vessels, using their own hulls as shields to protect the planet below. When the smoke cleared, 3 human ships had been badly damaged, but Zephyr Prime was safe. In the aftermath of the battle, as human medical teams worked alongside Zephyrian healers to treat the wounded, Elder Thys approached Captain Rodriguez on the planet's surface. "Captain," Thys said, his crystalline features now glowing with renewed health, "we owe you a debt that can never be repaid. But I must ask, why? Why did your people risk everything for strangers you had never met?" Rodriguez looked up at the stars, where human and Zephyrian ships worked together to repair the damage. "Because that's what people do for each other, Elder Thys. We heard someone calling for help, and we answered." 3 months later, when the Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant Earth full membership, the vote was not based on human military power or technological advancement. It was based on a simple principle that had echoed across the galaxy through the rescue of the Zephyrians: that true civilization is measured not by what a species can conquer, but by what they're willing to sacrifice to protect others. The Death World had sent its children to the stars, and they had returned not as conquerors, but as guardians, and the galaxy was forever changed.